live to Newcastle now. Labor leader Anthony Albanese is speaking.
We're trying to work out some times. He's a bit busy. He's got to work in emergency department at Wyong Hospital tomorrow, and I think it is fantastic that he is going to join our parliamentary team after the next election. So to Dan and to Gordon, best of luck to both of you. To my state parliamentary colleagues who are here as well, and to your worship and others, congratulations on the outstanding result here in the local government elections. And friends, one and all, including friends from the mighty trade union movement, it is great to be back here in the Hunter, including a great trade unionist and Vice President of the party, Michelle Myers, who's here with us as well, a great Novocastrian as well, even though she now lives in the equally great electorate of Grainler, it must be said, to declare an interest. We have much in common in terms of our people. Well, Happy New Year to you all. Now is a time for sharing resolutions. And this year, I have three. First, to win this election. Second is, of course, to lead a Labor government that focuses on creating a better future and brings the country back together. And thirdly, to bring respect and integrity and responsibility back to politics. As we start a new year, we can agree that the last 2 years have challenged us in ways that no one could have possibly imagined. And yet, through all the upheaval, Australians have been and continue to be simply magnificent, unselfish and calm, caring and brave. But if the last 2 years have shown us the strength of our society and our community, they have also revealed the vulnerabilities of our economy and the fundamental flaws in the judgment and the character of Scott Morrison. Governments have a responsibility to learn from this crisis, to respond to what the pandemic put into the spotlight, the brutal truth about the state of aged care, the inequalities in our health system, the harsh reality of insecure work and jobs that disappear without warning, the inequalities and disrespect women face at work and at home, in public or in private, the gaps in Australia's skills base caused by years of cuts to TAFE and apprenticeships, and the relentless grind of flatlining wages. We need a plan to build back stronger, to build an economy that works for people, not the other way around, with rising wages, secure jobs, safe workplaces, more apprenticeships, and opportunities for all Australians. A plan for a better life for working families, one that invests in the services that mark a decent society: childcare for when you're growing up, Medicare if you get sick, and aged care when you grow old, and the right to a roof over your head, because I know that affordable housing changes lives. It changed mine. Above all, Australia needs a government that believes in people and invests in their potential, a government that backs communities like this one, that builds on your strengths, your skills, and that rewards your energy and ideas. That's what I'm here to talk about today, my vision for a better future for Australia, and Labor's plan for a stronger, fairer and more diverse economy. But of course, the fundamental starting point is this: if we want to put the current crisis behind us, if we want to address insecure work and wage suppression and cuts to penalty rates, if we want to do better on childcare, if we want to stop the attacks on TAFE and unions and teachers and universities and the arts, if we want to make women's safety a national priority, if we want to move past cynical culture wars and a leader who pits states against each other, if we want a government that steps up when times are tough, not one that steps back, If we want to put years of failures and scandals and rorts and waste and blame shifting and buck passing and smirking contempt behind us, then Australia needs to put Scott Morrison and his government behind us. And with your help, we can do just that. We can bring Australians together with a Labor government that knows we are so much more than a collection of states. We are a dynamic nation that is stronger when we work together, when we pull together. That's how you can move forward together. Of course, to move forward, we do need to get through the current health crisis. The Omicron outbreak continues to have a devastating impact on your local community here in the Hunter. Following on from the Morrison government's failure to secure a supply of vaccines because they said it's not a race, and their failure to construct purpose-built quarantine because it wasn't their job, it is beyond comprehension that the same mistakes are being made on the rollout of booster shots. The same mistakes are being made in aged care. The same mistakes are being made in disability care. The same mistakes are being made in testing capacity, and they're not even pretending to play a role in securing a supply of rapid antigen tests. Through the response to the pandemic, the Hunter and the Central Coast were treated with disdain by this arrogant and dismissive government. Whether it was the transfer of vaccines meant for this region to Sydney, despite COVID being present in this community, or making it impossible for people to access COVID testing, this government's contempt for the people of this region has been on full display, as have the priorities of a Prime Minister who, in a rare act of transparency on funding allocations, made it clear that if you can't help him, he won't help you. Instead of bringing Australians together around our common interest, this Prime Minister seeks to divide, and he never, ever, ever accepts responsibility. We have 5 important tools to manage the pandemic response: vaccination, testing, tracing, isolation and quarantine. On every single measure, from, remember the COVID Safe app, that debacle, to the vaccine rollout, to boosters, and now rapid antigen tests, Scott Morrison has been defined by a lack of leadership. It all highlights why only a change of government will prioritise the immediate needs of this region and set about creating a better future. The support of the diabolical PEP 11 project off this beautiful coast that we're benefiting from today was only withdrawn reluctantly after a massive local campaign by the community, and I congratulate your community on that victory. This community knows how to fight, and there's been a similar strong community campaign led by local MPs, state and federal, and candidates against the Morrison government's refusal to save your local GP access after hours service that closed on Christmas Eve of all days, and its refusal to stop cuts to hours at other clinics. Now, these reckless acts will add to health inequality, and they wouldn't happen. You all know that if it was the North Shore of Sydney or if it was in the Sutherland Shire. Today, I announce that a Labor government will save your local GP access after hours service. Labor will restore this funding to ensure that your community can access the healthcare that you deserve. That is central to Labor's commitment to strengthen Medicare. It's one of the great divides in values in Australian politics. Labor believes in Medicare. We believe you should get healthcare when you need it. The other side essentially don't, which is why you had changes as well to the schedule come in again at inopportune times just before Christmas. Labor's plans for Newcastle and the Hunter will also centre on infrastructure, not just because I'm an infrastructure nerd. We know that good infrastructure serves communities. It creates secure, well-paid local jobs, and it connects your region to the national economy. Labor knows it because we've built it. Whether it was the transformation of the Honeysuckle precinct just down the road here through Brian Howe's Better Cities program, to more recently building the Hunter Expressway, talked about by the Howard government, never built, not a millimetre of it, or the Minimba to Maitland third rail line that lifted up productivity to the port. Only Labor has provided the investment that this region needs. A new Labor government will back the Glendale interchange, helping to turn northwest Lake Macquarie into a new employment super hub. This is a great project. It will unlock investment and opportunity across the Lower Hunter, creating 3,800 new jobs and spurring the construction of 2,700 new residences. The Liberals have spent 8 years standing in the way of this opportunity. In fact, their first budget cut funding for an earlier stage of this critical project. Now, despite the very high benefit to cost analysis, it must have been the wrong colour on the colour-coded spreadsheet that they used to rort public funding for projects. Because how you could cut funding for a project that had double-digit benefit for every dollar invested is just extraordinary. And we all know that even if they suddenly pretend to discover this project and support it in the lead up to the election, they'll never deliver it. You can take Labor's commitment to the bank. Now, I had the privilege of serving as Australia's first ever Minister for Infrastructure. As Federal Infrastructure Minister, I built and upgraded 7,500 kilometres of road. We rebuilt, fully rebuilt, 1/3 of the interstate rail freight network. And we committed more funding to urban rail infrastructure than all our predecessors combined from Federation right through to 2007. And if I'm elected Prime Minister, I want ours to be the first government that actually gets work underway on high-speed rail. My vision...
That's Anthony Albanese there with his latest pre-election pitch. He's in Newcastle, where he's saying that if Labor is elected after the next set of polls, well, they would be prioritising a high-speed rail between Newcastle and Sydney CBD, putting aside $500 million for the first stage of that before a greater line, which would be up along the east coast. Now, he is in the seat of Hunter today. That's held on a margin of 3% by Labor. But importantly, Joel Fitzgibbon, he's retiring at the next election. So Labor is certainly keen to get their candidate over the line to hold on to that seat for them, just the same as the government is trying to win that one off Labor.